Hey everybody, welcome to Cage My IQ. As always, I'm your host D-Bake, and joining with me once again is my co-host Jim DiLullo. How's it going, Jim?
It's going, man. How are you?
I am doing good. Just hyped up for this week's UFC pay-per-view, which is
Yeah.
headlined by Ciryl Gane going up against Derrick Lewis for the interim heavyweight championship. What were your first thoughts on when you saw the card for this week?
I like the original card a little bit better with Nunez and Pena, but of course, things happen and cards must go on, like we saw last week. Uh, the thing about this fight and this whole card in general is that this is might be the quickest Dana White has moved on, an interim belt. Francis has always said he wanted to be an active champion, and
Yeah,
he had to go down to Cameroon and, show up for his people and, be there, but they moved way too quick for this one. I feel like they're just trying to streamline a, Francis Lewis rematch or this Francis Ciryl Gane kind of clash of two
yeah.
action figures. You know what I mean?
I think there's like two different parts to it. First, I think it was Derek Lewis fighting in Houston. That
Yeah.
was going to be the big draw, so he wanted to do everything that he can to have Derek Lewis on this card. And then, of course, Nagano said he was going to be ready until September, so that put a thing into it,
Yeah. But
wrench into that.
it's
And
only a
then,
month though. You know what I
yeah,
mean? It's just a month.
yeah, and the second part was just to kind of get rid of some of that log jam up front. You got so many guys there
Yeah.
up front. I think it gave them a good reason to kind of clear it up, to have these two guys kind of fight for the interim, and then maybe there's still been talks about having Nagano and John Jones fight in December
Okay.
uh, for the title, so you can kind of have like a eliminator, like the winner of this will fight the winner of that, and you kind
Yeah.
of clear up a lot of that log jam, and then that's why you saw the whole thing with Stipe making that rumor about maybe he needs to consider going to one championship.
Yeah. It's crazy because this is a division that has been steadily congested with
Hmm.
even with DC because he was jostling two belts, and then with Stipe doing his thing as a firefighter and EMT. It's just, it's a breath of fresh air because we're getting a chance to kind of see everything move forward. But if it's Francis is ready in September, just give these two guys 30 more days and let them train and go for Francis. But either way, I'm happy for this fight. This is a matchup that really intrigues me between Ciryl and Derrick. But over under, how many times? I'm going to say 6 times they show Trey the Truth in the Houston crowd.
Whew, that is tough. I'm gonna go over.
Yeah, because he's a legend, and he's a great humanitarian. So I think we're going to see a lot of him, and I wouldn't be surprised if John Jones is in that crowd.
I wouldn't be surprised too, and I wouldn't even be surprised if Nagano was there too.
Yeah, that would be
So.
great. I would like to see him there.
Yeah, but as always, this is Cage by IQ, the best place for MMA content. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch at the handles to the left. We are part of the Fighters First YouTube network now, so all you gotta do is go to YouTube, uh, go to at Fighters First, subscribe to the page. Don't forget to hit the like button on this video and give us a comment of what you think about our predictions, and just let us know what you think, and tell us how you feel who's going to win the main event this weekend. But then also, if you like our podcast, go check out our merch right here. All you got to do is go to firesfirst.shop, scroll down to the Cage My IQ collection. You can check out our two things in the merchandise website right now. We got a shirt in 3 different styles, and then we also have a hoodie out right now. So if you're the type of person in the fall that likes to wear hoodies all the time, the fall is just a month or two down the road. Go pick up our hoodie. It's very comfy. As you can see, I got the shirt on, and then Jim has the shirt on.
Yep.
They fit really good just right out the bat, so you don't even have to put it in the wash for it to get that really nice, comfy feel. So
Yeah.
if you get any of our merch, let us know. I would give you guys a shout out on next week's show. That's how we roll here. We respect our viewers just as you respect us for the content that we put out. So do that, and then we'll get back to you guys. But let's move on to the predictions
Yeah.
side of UFC 265. Of course, this is the title. Who's the next heavyweight champion? UFC 265 preview, Lewis versus Gane. The first fight that we have on tap of this 5-card main card is a men's bantamweight, which is men's bantamweight matchup between Sung Yadong going up against Kenney. First, you got Sung Yadong, who comes in at 16-5-1, is the minus 105 favorite, going up against Kenney, who is 16-3-1 and is the minus 115 small underdog. How do you feel about this fight?
Yeah, I think that this is a really good matchup between two young and upcoming fighters. Well, both have a wrestle first approach, but Song Yadong has a lot of power in his right hand when he lets it fly. They're both evenly matched as they both throw about 5 punches per minute, but Kenney absorbs a little bit more. This fight is going to be won, in my opinion, by who can get the most takedowns. Kenney goes for a lot of takedowns in most of his fights. He had that battle with Dominic Cruz where he was incorporating the leg kicks and trying to hunt the takedown, but it didn't really work for him. But Kenney, I do think that this is a fight, if it stays standing, that Song Yadong is going to have a chance to clip Kenney as Kenney moves in quickly and kind of throws and then tries to back out, where Yadong just is calculated. And when he gets there, he's going to pick a spot. But with this fight, I think Kenney's experience is going to make a difference. So I'm going to go with Kenney by decision, but I really do like Song Yadong. I think that he needs a big win under his belt. He has a big win against Chito Vera, but I think another one like a win against Kenney could really just propel him in this division. But I don't think he's going to get it this fight. I think Kenney's going to win by decision.
Yeah, first I got Sung Yadong. He's an orthodox fighter with quick hands. He is a boxer, likes to throw straight rights with power. He tends to back up to get the opponent to walk into his right hand. He sits down on his punches, and he likes to use the counter two to attack kicks by his opponents. He's quick on his feet, but he tends to load up too much. He likes to throw counter uppercuts, but needs to not telegraph them. He likes to throw combinations as well, where he mixes his left hooks and uppercuts together. He leaves himself open for takedowns when he overextends, but he has great get-ups from the mat and is hard to hold down. And then he has a great chin, and then he evades shots really well. Then you got Kenney, who is a southpaw who has fast hands. He likes to throw leg kicks where he attacks with kicks to the inside leg and shots to the body. He likes to mix in takedowns where he dives in, gets the hips, and tries to pull the opponent to the mat with the double leg takedown. He has good get-ups and scrambles, but tends to fatigue later in fights. And then he'll move around a lot in his fights so that the opponent doesn't get comfortable. I think the thing in this matchup that makes a big deal for me is the fact that Kenney tends to slow down a little bit as the fight goes on. Because of all the movement that he's doing. He goes through a lot of takedowns and then a lot of leg kicks. And I think that's a thing in this matchup that's going to be a big deal because, like I said right before with all the notes, Sung Yadong has a great counter to the leg kicks with that right hand. He knows when to time it so that when they're throwing the kick, he gets his shot off very fast and it kind of negates some of the power from the leg kick. And he absorbs them very well. And then every time he gets taken down, he does get taken down easy, but then he gets back up right away. So it's kind of nullifies the takedown. You get it on paper and then on the judges' scorecard, but then he gets up right away and gets back going. And I think Kenney is very hittable. And then it remains to be seen how he's going to do in the second and third round because I don't see him knocking out Sung Yadong. I don't see it happening because his hands aren't the best. It's all about his kicks and the takedown, but I could see Yadong knocking out Kenney. And I do see him pouring in a lot of volume on him because of those combinations with the uppercut and the right hook and everything. I don't see it happening, but I got Sung Yadong by unanimous decision. I feel like he's just going to pour in a lot. He's going to frustrate Kenney. Kenny's going to take him down. I think Kenney will get the second round. That's how I feel. I feel like Yadong's going to come in early. And then that's when you're going to see Kenney doing a lot of the leg kicks, but you're going to see Yadong counter it. And then the second round, he's going to go right to his wrestling and that's where he's going to win it. He's going to get like 2, maybe 3 takedowns in the second round, but Yadong's going to get up. But with the 3 takedowns, usually that's enough to like steer around. But then by the third round, I think Yadong is going to catch on and change his game plan a bit, start moving around, throwing those uppercuts and whatnot, and then just trying to stuff everything. And then he's going to pull it out and get the 2 rounds to 1 victory.
Okay, so we're on the opposite end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
But you have 2 very good wrestlers, and I think it would kind of behoove Casey Kenney to keep hunting that takedown, unless he's just looking to get points on, if it's we know how the judges are, right? So sometimes they overvalue a takedown and a get up. So if Casey Kenney is looking for that and trying to ride the trend of some suspect judging, he might win this with just points, you know what I mean? But I think he's going to do enough to, he's an accomplished wrestler, so I think he's going to do enough to kind of hold Song down. But, when I was doing my notes for this, I kind of thought that the option for the knockout is there, obviously, in every fight, but this one it's even more, because if Kenney is going to tire himself out getting all these takedowns, it's going to leave him extremely gassed on the feet, right? So it's going to leave him, his hands are going to drop, he's going to be breathing from his mouth, and then Song's going to be able to clip him. But I'm going to ride with Kenney. I've been wrong 1,000 times, so this might be 1,001, but that's where I'm going to ride.
And then I looked in the past at one of Sung Yadong's last fights. It was against our guy Kyler Phillips, who throws a lot of different leg kicks. So I think he's going to look back and look at the leg kicks and kind of try and game plan for that. So then, he has to kind of worry about the takedowns. And I think he'll still get taken down, but I think he'll be able to find a way to limit it to just a few.
Yeah, and Kyler Phillips' ground game, as we know, is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I think he got the raw end of the deal of that last fight, but that's neither here nor there. That's not this fight we're talking about. But that's a big learning curve for Song. And, I mean, even Casey Kenney fought Dominic Cruz. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that they both have huge learning curves in their last 2 fights. So we'll see.
Yeah. But to go from that, let's move on to the second fight on the card, which is a rematch.
Yeah.
It is a women's strawweight bout between Tecia Torres, who's going up against Angela Hill. First, you got Tecia Torres, who is 12-5 and is the -135 favorite. And then you got Angela Hill, who is 13-9 and is the +115 underdog. How do you feel in this matchup?
Yeah, just like you said, man, this is a rematch 6 years in the making. But both are much better fighters than when they fought in 2015. But their approaches haven't changed dramatically. This fight is very interesting and could put the winner further up on the title contender list. Hill has the reach advantage and throws slightly more than Tecia Torres. She also makes good use of her knees and her elbows in the clinch, whereas Torres is at best when she can control the pace and throw punches and bunches. That's her favorite go-to kind of striking style, which usually gets her head on the scorecards. Tecia also shoots for takedowns, however, her accuracy isn't great, and sometimes she tends to hunt the takedown. I expect her to shoot for the takedown, to work Hill on the ground, while Angie is going to have to use her reach and leg kicks to keep Tecia at distance and give her control of the octagon. So with this, I think it's going to be a complete opposite of the first matchup, because I think their games have evolved, and I think Angela Hill has evolved slightly more and has been more active in her fight career, whereas Tecia has been going to school and working on other stuff. So I'm going to go with Angie Hill by decision.
First, I got Torres. She is very quick and throws a blitz 1 and 2. Tecia uses her hands to bulldoze her opponents and mixes in kicks with her striking. She has a good variety of kicks, ranging from jump switch kicks, the back kicks, the body kicks. She tends to be tentative versus long fighters, but is very athletic. She mixes in wrestling and goes for blast double leg takedowns. Her technique needs improvement, and she uses more blasts than form, but she has good strike and defense and good IQ. Then you got Angela Hill, who comes in with a Muay Thai background and likes to use all 8 points of striking. She favors her right hand a lot and likes to use angles to attack her opponent. She uses a step to the right to set up the right hand and has a nice jab. In the clinch, she throws knees and elbows that are usually sharp. She doesn't know how to defend on her back, but has good striking defense. She tends to back up too much in fights, but then has decent cardio. I think in this fight, I think a big thing is the fact that, of course, they fought first
Yeah.
before, and they've both improved. But I think, uh, to me, the difference is the level of competition that they've both fought. Of course, Angela Hill has always fought those people, the gatekeepers of the division. She's never really fought anybody truly great, whereas Tessa Torres has fought like everybody in like the top five. And just like it said before, she struggles against those long fighters. But with Angela Hill, she is kind of long, but she telegraphs herself too much. You can kind of pinpoint what she's going to do. It's all about that right hand. She might
Hmm.
use every type of strike, but that when she's coming in with the right hand, because she's always making that sidestep before she throws it, and we don't know how she is on the back because she has been on there often because she hasn't fought somebody like that
Yeah.
except for Tessa, and I feel like Tessa is going to continue that same trend. Uh, I think she's going to be able to take her down, and when you take Hill down, she doesn't like that. She's like a fish out of water, and I feel like she's going to use that tactic, kind of minimize what you're going to get from Angela Hill, and then just kind of ground and pounder. And I I wanted to go knockout, but I'm going Tessa Torres by unanimous decision. I just think she has too much skill in her, and then one of them being the takedowns, and that's something that's going to affect Angela Hill too much in this fight.
Okay. I have 2 points to what you said. The first point is Angela Hill fighting the quote unquote gatekeepers. I think that's because she likes to stay active, so she'll take any fight that's offered to her. You know what I mean? I also think, if I'm not mistaken, I don't have her entire career in front of me, but I believe she's fought Michelle Alderson, Angela Hill, and I believe she has also fought Claudia Gadelha, who have both been top 5 contenders. I think a lot of people just remember like the Ashley Yoder fights and stuff like that, but Angie Hill's she's been doing this for a very long time and continues to just keep taking fights. Those, I would say, like 3 or 4 of those 9 losses that she has are suspect split decisions. I think one of them was against Karate Hottie, and I think the other one
Yeah,
was either against Carla Esparza or Claudia Gadelha. But I think the difference is we're looking at Tecia Torres, who for a while hadn't fought in a while. You know what I mean? She was taking some time off, and we see her last fight where she dominated her last fight. But before that, there were 3 straight losses. You know what I mean?
but then you look at it. I'm looking at it right now. She has 5 losses and 5 losses. She
Hmm.
has a loss in 2016 against Rose Namajunas.
Yeah.
And then in 2018 and 19, she had 4 in a row. They're against Jessica Andrade,
Hmm.
Joanna Johacek, Zhang Wei Li, and Marina Rodriguez. All top 3 or top 4 fighters in 2 different weight classes because
Yeah,
of
but
the
that says one of 2 things, though, right? That says either Tecia Torres is a perennial contender,
yeah,
or Tecia Torres is filling in as a gatekeeper and welcoming these people, or tune-up fights sometimes. You know what I mean? And it's
but
how you gauge it. Like, I'm not,
yeah,
listen, I'm not going to argue with you because
yeah,
you picked Tecia Torres. She's a great fighter, but I just think that sometimes, like, the layoff too, right? Because she
yeah.
tends to take some time between fights. I think Angela Hill puts herself and her career in jeopardy because she is so active sometimes, but also puts herself and her career in good favor with the bosses because she's always ready to go. And I know she had did she have fights with Amanda Hebas get canceled twice?
Yeah,
Uh,
on both sides. It was
yeah,
both sides. But
but
even with that point, Tessa Torres has fought twice a year, every year the past 4 years. So it's not like she has had a big layoff. She's still fighting twice a year
yeah,
against
you're right.
good competition. I just need to see what Angela Hill could do against the top 5 because
Yeah,
every time you think she's going to make it there, she loses and then takes a step backwards.
yeah,
Where Tessa Torres has been there, she has lost those big fights, but those names I read off are like the who's who
And they're champions. Yeah.
champions. All of them have been champions at some
Yep.
point, and she's made her way to that point. She just struggles against like the longer type fighters, and then everybody
Yeah.
else she's beaten. So that's
And
what
she's
makes this. Yeah, that's what makes this a good matchup. Is Angela Hill is big, but
Yeah.
Angela Hill. That's why I go Torres. Is if you take Angela Hill down, it kind of mitigates anything that she can do because she's not
Yeah.
very good on the ground.
It's definitely going to be a wrestle
Yeah.
approach, I think, with this for Tecia's camp. But I don't know, man. I think maybe sometimes Angela Hill, I'm sorry, takes on too much, not too much fights, but too much like side stuff because she's doing announcing and she's doing this and that, and like it might just take away from her time in the cage. And then
Yeah.
sometimes it's just she doesn't do enough in the cage to get
Yeah.
the judge's favor. But I mean, that's neither here nor there. But I'm excited for this fight nonetheless.
Yep. But let's move on to the third fight in the card. We got a men's welterweight matchup between Michael Chiesa going up against Vicente Luque. First, you got Chiesa, who is 18-4, is a plus 105 underdog. And then you got Luque, who is 27-1 and is the minus 125 favorite. What do you see with this matchup?
I see that the numbers have been changing daily, hourly.
A lot, yeah.
Yeah. And this is the fight that, honestly, I've been looking forward to since it's been announced. I like both of these guys, and both of these guys have been extremely dominant, especially Chiesa once he's moved up to welterweight. Neither one of them have lost in 2 years. I think it's been 3 years for Chiesa. His last loss was against Anthony Pettis. And these two guys are looking to get their names amongst the rest of the title contenders. In my opinion, Vicente is a very well-rounded fighter who can get it done a variety of ways. Chiesa is a submission artist. However, stand-up is going to be his weakness in this fight. Chiesa is going to look to get the fight to the ground, but he's going up against a fighter who has very, very good takedown defense, which leads me to believe that this fight may spend a lot of time on the feet. And if that's the case, I really feel like Vicente Luque is going to dominate that fight, and I think he's going to get the win by second-round knockout.
Yeah, this one was tough for me, but I'm definitely hyped for this matchup. First, you got Michael Chiesa, who is a southpaw, throws a 1 and 2 and uses that to set up his takedowns. He closes the distance recklessly and tends to have his hands low when he shoots. He has a nice reactive double leg where he turns the corner or trips them to get them down. He is vicious with attack in the clinch and doesn't let go until he gets his opponent down. When he is on top of his opponents, he tends to look for just submissions and control the position. But if he attacks the back, he is hard to get off. He has durable grappling cardio, but tends to slow when he is forced to stand up and trade. He is weak when hit at the body, but he has good IQ. Then you got Vicente Luque. He has very nice fluid boxing and likes to attack off of his opponent's reactions. He likes to throw leg kicks and hates to back up. He defends takedowns by using a guillotine, and he gives up back to get to his feet. He has a granite chin and is very durable and powerful. He is hittable but knows how to disguise things in the judge's vision. He has subpar takedown defense, and he likes to attack his opponent's calf at times with kicks. This was very tough for me just for the fact that first you got Luque. You've seen him. He has great power, and he's very smart. But then you look at, you mentioned it, like he's kind of hard to take down, but you see a guy named like Tyron Woodley, who he did beat, but Tyron Woodley was able to take him down easy. He took him down twice. He did get back up, but Woodley's hasn't been known for his takedowns in years. And this just happened like a few months ago.
Yeah.
Woodley used to use this all the time, and he was good at it. And then that's what got him to the dance of winning the title. Then he abandoned it, and then he did it against here, but he wasn't able to sustain it. Yeah, like right now, Chiesa is leaps and bounds ahead of Woodley with the takedowns, and then it doesn't help that Luque, he moves forward no matter what. So that might help out Chiesa with the takedowns when he's moving forward and he's not thinking about getting taken down, but then he gets taken down anyway. If Woodley can take him down, I feel like Chiesa can. It's going to come down to whether the fight's going to be standing or if it's going to be on the ground. Because if it's standing, Luque is going to piece him up all day with the different shots that he does, and then he has the fight IQ to think before he actually throws, and he already has a combination in his head ready to go before he does it. That's the kind of guy Luque is. But I have a feeling that Luque is going to be taken down here. And the one thing that I just don't like is that the guillotine, that's his way of defending the takedown.
That's crazy.
And I think he's never been able to submit anybody. He might have done it once on the regional scene, I think, where he was able to use that. But Chiesa is the guy who has no, like, he keeps going. He keeps coming at you with that takedown. He doesn't give up right away. He grinds it in and gets the
Yeah.
takedown. And I feel like once he gets that takedown, that's where I think Luque is going to be done, because Chiesa keeps his guys down, and he's just a different fighter on the ground. Like, he's massive. He attacks your back right away. Once he's on your back, there's no getting him off. He's just attached to you. And I just feel like at the end of the day, this is going to be my upset here. And I got a round 2 submission victory by Michael Chiesa.
Nice. The one thing about Chiesa is he's also submittable, right?
Yes.
His last 2 losses have been a triangle by Anthony Pettis, and I think a rear naked choke from Kevin Lee. So
Yeah.
he is submittable. But they were, I believe, don't get me wrong, I think they were at a lower weight class, right? So that's
Yes.
when he was at lightweight, and he was struggling at lightweight because he, like you said, he's massive. He's a big dude to be cutting that weight, and he's looked amazing at welterweight, and he's looked huge at welterweight. So we're getting to the point where we get the contenders, right? Where do you put the winner of this?
Where I put him at this, obviously I think this is the 5-6 matchup. So
Yeah.
they're going to obviously flip spots, but then you got a lot of change in movements up there in the top 5, because they just announced, of course, Covington Usman. There's been talks about where do you go from there. Maybe you give them Stephen Thompson, because he just lost. Maybe you give the winner of that him. But then you also got to think of Burns and Edwards.
Yep.
And there's been talks of having them fight each other, Burns versus Edwards. So, and like, I got to see what happens with all that. Like, if that gets booked, then definitely book them, the winner of this, with Thompson. But if, say, they go another route, then you have options of that you can put the winner of this against either Burns or Edwards.
Yeah.
More so Burns, I think, because that would be the more logical choice. But it all depends on who wins and the booking going forward.
Yeah, I'd like to see if my outcome is the right one. I'd like to see Edwards and Luque. I think that would be a phenomenal fight.
It would. It definitely would, and it would be matched up perfectly. Even if I got to see Burns and Luque, even though I think
that's a good fight too.
They're friends. They're actually friends, and then they have no problem fighting each other. So that would even be good as well.
Yeah, Burns doesn't care if he fights. He'll fight fight his brother if he needs to.
Yeah. If that gets him back to the title, that's all he wants.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But let's move on from this to the co-main event of the evening. We have a men's bantamweight matchup between Jose Aldo, who's going up against Pedro Munhoz. Jose Aldo comes in 29-7 as the -125 favorite. Then you got Pedro Munhoz coming in at 19-5 and is the +105 underdog. What do you feel about this matchup?
It wasn't the co-main I was hoping for. That Nunez and Pena fight I circled out as one of my most exciting fights that I was looking forward to. But this is a very interesting matchup, nonetheless, between 2 guys who are back right on track in the win column after picking up a win in their last fight. We know Aldo's game. He's going to use his boxing, leg kicks, and his body shots to set up the stoppage or a decision. Pedro has good stand-up and is good at locking in submissions, but lately he's been going the distance, and hasn't done enough in 2 of his last 3. With this fight, this was actually an easier one for me to pick. I think Aldo is going to chop at Pedro's legs well. I think Pedro may actually look to get Aldo, the older fighter. No, I don't know if they're the older fighter. I'm sorry. May look to get Aldo on the ground, so he can set up one of those submissions, because we haven't seen it for a while. We've seen Pedro try to stand there and brawl with you, but I'm thinking he's going to go back to his roots and try to get this fight to the ground. But I don't think it's going to work. So I think Aldo is going to get this, and I think Jose is going to win by decision. And actually, Pedro is older than Jose Aldo, which surprises me, because I keep forgetting that Jose Aldo is my age
Yeah, this fight was actually for me. This fight was the hardest
Really?
decision to make because of everything in it, and I'll get to that in a second. But first, you have Jose Aldo, who likes to use forward pressure and take his front foot. He picks his shots and likes to feint and see the reactions by his opponent. He has fast pace and leg kicks are quick. He has great footwork and hands, and he rarely overextends. He's a very good strike. He has very good striking defense and head movement. He likes to hit you back when you tag him, but when he does, he hits you harder. He mixes in rips to the body and has confidence with the leg kicks. Once again, he's starting to use them like he
Hmm.
did back in his prime. He tends to be controlled along the fence when opponents get him there, and he leaves his hands low after clinch breaks. As you saw in the Peter Young fight, that's what did him in, was the hands being low on the clinch breaks. He likes to take his opponent's backs, and then he defends takedowns really well. Then you got Pedro Munhoz, who is an orthodox fighter who has high pace and likes to trap you against the fence. He likes to throw the left hook and throws the right hook against the opposite stance. He prefers to trade in the pocket and likes to keep himself on the front foot. He doesn't move his head a lot, but does catch shots at times. He likes to use a guillotine trap to defend opponents' takedown attempts. He has a great chin, good volume, and good recovery. And he also has good cardio and really good leg kicks. This is going to be basically the battle of who has the best leg kicks in the
Yeah.
division. And I think the reason I've been going back and forth on this is I think the leg kicks are going to be a trouble for Pedro Munhoz. And now that Aldo's throwing him back, but then if
Yeah.
you look back at the Jimmy Rivera fight, he was throwing his leg kicks, and Pedro Munhoz was throwing them back and was acting like he wasn't getting hit. And I think the one thing that's going to affect Aldo is he's always had a problem with the fighters that just keep moving forward,
Yeah.
that they don't just go back. They move forward and they just come at you. And that's what Pedro Munhoz is. He's one of those forward moving guys that come at you. He wants to get you against the fence, pressure you into it, and then use his wrestling and just get inside the pocket. And that's
Yeah.
that describes Pedro Munhoz to a T. I think it's going to come down to whether Aldo can keep the distance or if Munhoz can stay in the inside. Because if he can stay in the inside, it's going to be a long day for Aldo because his leg kicks are a big part of his game. He can strike, but I don't see, like, you don't see guys knocking out Pedro Munhoz. You don't see it
Yeah.
happening. But I could see a situation where Munhoz can trade shots with him on the inside the pocket and then just take him down and wear out Aldo. But I think at the end of the day, I think Aldo's going to do enough, and then he's going to win by a decision. I think it might even be split decision. That's how
Okay.
close I think it's going to be.
Yeah. This one was circled down a split for me too. This is the first fight that we agreed on. Surprisingly, I didn't think
Yeah,
this was going to be the one. Honestly, I thought it was going to be the previous one. But the thing that you said about keeping distance, Aldo has an impressive reach for someone at
yeah,
5'7". He's got a 70-inch reach advantage, and he's going up against Munhoz, who has a 65-inch reach advantage. So there's definitely a big discrepancy there. But also Aldo's use of the jab is very impressive. So he
hmm
uses that to find his distance, and then he sets up the counter. You know what I mean? So I think this is going to be a great fight. This could possibly be fight of the night.
yeah. And let me be clear. By taking down, I should say Munhoz, because Aldo's takedown defense is really good.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be more so not takedown, but get him against the fence and just hold him there. I think
yeah.
that's something that Munoz can do with ease. He's going
I
to try
think
and
he's
take him
gonna.
down.
I think he's gonna hunt the takedown at some
Yeah,
point. I think he's gonna take the exact same approach that you said. Work him to the cage and try to either trip him or double leg him right
yeah,
there. Because Aldo, you know, he's. I don't think he's declining. It seems like he's trying to, kind of resurge in the division as he's throwing those leg kicks. And you said, the Jimmy Rivera fight, right? There's a difference between Jimmy Rivera leg
yeah,
kicks and Jose Aldo's leg kicks. No disrespect to Jimmy Rivera, but
yeah.
Pedro didn't check a lot of those Jimmy Rivera kicks either.
No,
He started eating up at that lead leg, and if you don't check Aldo's kicks, it might be game over. This might be a TKO by leg kick. That's one of your picks. That's one of your go-tos.
Yeah, it is. But at the same time, Pedro Munhoz was throwing him at Jimmy Rivera, a bigger guy, and he hurt his leg. So,
Yeah.
and Jimmy Rivera's legs are twice as big
Yeah. Like tree trunks.
As Jose Aldo. So it's going to be. I think it's going to be great to see how these guys game playing kicks wise against each other. But I feel like unless Munhoz can limit what Aldo does in the open, it's going to be hard for him to win. Like he has to make this like a drag out, in the clinch, up close type of fight, and then Aldo, all he has to do is stay distance, throw leg kicks, throw shots, because he can rack up that volume. And then even if he gets taken down, if he has all that volume, it's not going to matter.
Yeah.
But I feel like at the end, I feel like at the end of the day, it's going to be like this. It's going to be very close. It's going to come down to like the numbers, which would be in Aldo's favor.
Watch this be a Munhoz knockout under 2 minutes in the first round. You know what I mean? This is one of those fights that it could go any direction because these guys are so skilled. But I'm very excited for this one.
Yeah, it all depends on what Jose Aldo shows up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But let's move on from the co-main event to now the main event of the evening for UFC 265. We got the men's interim heavyweight championship matchup between Derrick Lewis, who's going up against Ciryl Gane. Derrick Lewis comes in at 25-7, is the plus 280 underdog. And then he's going up against Ciryl Gane, of course, who is 9-0 as the minus 360 favorite. What do you see in this matchup?
I see that we've been talking about Ciryl Gane, I feel like, for all 9 fights. You know, I think he might be the most talked about fighter on our preview show. But with this is a very good matchup. Derrick Lewis has been on a roll lately with 4 straight wins. His game plan hasn't changed as he's looking for the knockout with the boxing approach. But his game is constantly evolving as he's working on improving his wrestling and takedowns and his takedown defense. But he's going up against Ciryl Gane, who doesn't lose and hasn't lost. Usually Lewis is at the advantage with his stand-up, but Gane's boxing is good, and the way he uses his strikes to keep distance is even better. This will pose a big problem for Derrick Lewis, in my opinion. Lewis is fighting in the front of the home crowd, which I think will give him the boost, but which would definitely not. That was an understatement. This will definitely give him the boost. You know what I mean? This is his home. But I think Gane is going to do just enough to get the win by decision. Every time that I think that the striker, the knockout artist, is going to get the win over Ciryl Gane, like with the Rosenstrike matchup, it didn't go the way that I thought, right? And then I look at Derrick Lewis when I think that he's like completely the underdog, like he was with Francis. It goes with the direction of that last fight. I don't expect this fight to be fireworks. I think that we're going to see 2 very calculated fighters and 2 very cautious fighters in this, kind of like the Derrick and Francis fight, and very much like the Gane and Rosenstrike fight. So I think this goes all 5 rounds, and I think Gane's cardio is worlds better than Derrick Lewis's because he's, again, trying to work on improving that. So I think Gane's going to stay fresh and do just enough to get it in the judge's favor.
Yeah, first we got Gane. He has very good distance management and footwork. His speed and head movement are exceptional. Kicking game is refined and one of the best in the division. He has a Muay Thai background and isn't afraid to use his knees and elbows in the clinch. Against southpaws, he likes to use the body kick. His stiff jab is his favorite strike. He's been working to mix in the jiu-jitsu into his game, and he has one of the best cardios in the division. He basically moves like a featherweight at a heavyweight with a heavyweight body. Then you got Derrick Lewis, who does not have the best footwork. He throws big right hand shots and goes for the counter 1 and 2s. He throws a lower calf kick and has improved his nutrition and gas tank. He has really good chin and KO power. He tends to pour in low volume, but baits his opponents in the bad situations by playing possum. He's weak against kicks to his lead leg. He is aggressive and has a right hand and jab he uses now more than often than he has before. This is a matchup that it's clear cut. It's going to be whether Derrick Lewis can connect on that KO shot or not. And I think at the end of the day, He's not going to be able to. Ciryl Gane is the type of guy that can limit you with his constant movement in and out of the pocket. This is basically him versus Rosenstruck again, but Rosenstruck it was less tentative. You're going to see Derrick Lewis, like we said, play possum, but I think Gane's going to know what to do, and he's going to kind of use that against him when he feels like Lewis is going to come at him. He's going to take him down, and that's when he's going to start using his wrestling, which he hasn't used in the past as much because he hasn't had to. He plays distance management most of the time with the leg kicks, the kickboxing, the ins and outs with his boxing. He has a lot to him. And I think he's going to be able to wear out Derrick Lewis, take him down, and then win by unanimous decision pretty easily.
Yeah, I echo those thoughts, man. It's a great matchup on paper, but I think once it gets into those late rounds, it's going to be tough waters for Derrick Lewis. And I love Derrick Lewis as a fighter. I want to hear, his post-fight speech when he wins the title. Like, I just want to hear something, but I don't think he gets this nod, unfortunately. But I wouldn't be. Listen, I never want to count Derrick Lewis out and think that he's gonna be dominated. He has one punch knockout ability, and he could land a really solid shot in this one. And this could go one round. You know what I mean? Gane comes in to underestimating Derrick Lewis and just gets clipped with a right and game over. But we'll see. Overall, it's a great fight. I think with this, the winner should definitely get Francis. I don't think we wait for Francis and John Jones, and now we have a fake title. You know what I mean? This title, if that's the case, if Francis is fighting Jones in December, then this title means absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
The winner of this fight needs to fight Francis, and then the winner of that fight gets Jones.
Yeah, I think they just did that just because they are not sure if they're going to be able to book that fight, and then they did this knowing like, hey, if we don't know this is going to happen and he's not ready yet, then we got to get an interim title going just in the short term, even though people don't like it, but we're going to just have to get it done and going, plus garner some money. And just like you said, yes, whenever Derrick Lewis is in a fight, there's always that chance that he knocks somebody out. He has that power. He's the best in the heavyweight division at knocking people out, even over Francis Ngannou and Rosenstruck. That's his game. He was able to do it with Curtis Blades. That's how he won, was him playing possum and waiting to the right moment and hitting Curtis Blades. I just think Ciryl Gane's a guy that we haven't seen in a while. He moves, like we said, like a featherweight, even though he's a heavyweight. And he has all these different backgrounds. And I think he comes in smart. He comes in game plan. It's not the sexiest pick, and he's not the most exciting. He's just the guy that racks up the wins because of what he does. And at the end of the day, And at the end of the day, I think he does enough to win because that's what he needs to do, and that's why he's able to come in on this fight on 2 months' notice and to take it, because that fight against Volkov was really exciting.
Yeah,
and then he got hit with a lot of leg kicks, but that's it. Like that's all he got hit with was a bunch of leg kicks against a guy that's over 7 foot tall. And he won that fight 4 rounds to 1. So that's a lot to be said about when he could come in and take a lot of fights in a short amount of time in his UFC career.
Yeah, I mean, we've at least covered him 3 times within almost a calendar year. It's an interesting fight. It's a great matchup, but I would like to see the winner of this, whether it's Gane or Lewis, go against Francis, let's say like November, late October, right there, Fight Island. Give a chance to, heavyweight. Everyone shows up for heavyweight championships, so I think that's the perfect place. I wouldn't wait until December because a lot of things can happen in 4 months. Get it as fast as possible.
Yeah. I have a feeling it's going to be December because I have a feeling I feel like they always try and put that very big fight at the end by Christmas, right before New Year's. You get everything going. November, I could see November. But with this being like an August fight, that's 3 months. They're already starting to book all that stuff, and they kind of want to stretch things out until the end of the year. So,
is this in your opinion, is this a bigger fight than the Colby and Usman fight?
No, I don't think it is, because I think there's that that background with
Yeah.
Usman and Colby hating each other. There's that. It's already fresh. This is just like, oh, this is good on paper because these two fighters are good. I
No, I
think.
mean the winner of this versus Francis. I'm sorry, I worded it that wrong.
Oh, okay. I think yes and no because with Gane, I'll say why because Gane and Nagano, they were former partners at
Yeah.
training, and now to make it very good. But then there's also Lewis and Nagano who fought already in one of the most boring fights. So it's kind of like yes and no. It depends on the matchup and how they build it. But we already know Usman and Colby, you don't got to build that anymore. That's
Not at all.
already built and that's already fresh, and it's been building again for another year without the UFC.
Yeah, you know what? And that's booked for November, correct?
Yes, November 6th.
And Amanda and Juliana is also booked for November, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe it's in November. I think they already have a co-main event for the Usman. The co-main event for Usman Colby is Michael Chandler and Justin Gagey. That's the co-main, and Gagey and Usman are training partners.
That is going to be fireworks. I can't, I kind of miss out on the review show with you and Miles where you guys talk about the news because that you send it to me, but it's I can't wait for that fight. So you know what? More realistically, if we're going to have if we have, let's say, Amanda and Juliana in November, I don't think it's November. I think it might actually be September or October. But either way, if we have a title shot like that, Colby and Usman, I don't think that the heavyweight title shot or title matchup is an under or a co-main slot. I think that's a main event slot. So December is more realistically.
Yeah, definitely, because they're always trying to fluctuate the titles, and then I know with them doing a main event of Max Holloway and Yair Rodriguez for middle to late November, that just makes more logical a choice to have in December.
Yeah, November is going to be the best month for fights. It's going to be so good. I absolutely cannot wait for November.
Especially even the end of October 30th, they got a stack card on October 30th with the two title fights, and it's going to be free on ABC. So
I love it.
Because they already said it's going to be on Fight Island, they're televising it, and it's going to be early morning into afternoon because they want to do it Abu Dhabi prime time. So that's going to make it even better because you can watch the fight, catch all these great fights for free on ABC, and then you still got by the time it's done, it'll be dinner time here. So
get ready for some Halloween parties. Get pumped. I'm ready.
Exactly. But let's get wrapping up. We're done this UFC 265 recap, and now we'll just give a shout out to our sponsors if you want to get that started, Jim.
Yeah, man. Shout out to our sponsors. The first one, 99 Jersey, the best place for boutique jerseys. Maybe you're watching the Olympics now. You want to support the boys in red, white, and blue and get a Team USA Dream Team jersey. Or you're following the news and you saw that Steph Curry signed this massive $200 million plus contract and you want that Davidson Steph Curry college jersey, this is the place for you. So go to 99jerseys.com, use code SportsBoxShow20, get 20% off your first purchase. Oddsjam, we were talking about it throughout this. We give you the odds for every fight, and that Vicente Luque, Michael Chiesa fight, the odds are always changing. So head over to Oddsjam, go to the link in our bio, make a profile, and you'll never miss a bet again. And finally, our boys at High Tide Herbal. CBD for athletes by athletes, whether it's an old sports injury, whether it's some anxiety, High Tide has you covered. I know D-Bake is a big CBD enthusiast with the soap. I use CBD in my energy drinks and my water just to kind of freshen me up and get me feeling good for the day from some old nagging sports injuries. But go to High Tide Herbal, use code CageMyIQ10 to get 10% off your purchase. So again, thank you to all of our sponsors for supporting the boys here at Cage My IQ, and you can support us too by going to those sponsors.
And as always, this is Cage My IQ. We will see you guys next week for the UFC Fight Night preview. As always, I'm your host, D-Bake. This is my co-host, Jim DiLullo, and we will talk to you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in.